Hello and welcome back, everybody. Good to have you all here. We are back with the Author Time podcast. We took a little bit of hiatus. A couple of us had some in real life things going on. As you can see, Juice and I, different backgrounds. We both moved over the last few weeks, so just been a lot going on. But we're really happy to be back. We got a special guest here as always, so we'll get into that in a minute though. But anybody who's here for the first time, just wanted to talk about what this is. This is the Author Time podcast, brought to you by TMA, the TrackMania Mappers Assembly, where we talk about anything and everything related to TrackMania mapping. We are typically here every 2 weeks on Sundays. It's been a little longer, and we will probably be here the next episode in about 3 weeks. Because of other in real life things, things happen. However, we have a special guest every single episode. Basically how this works is first we're going to talk a little bit with our special guest, and then after that we're going to be talking about other mapping related news, items, other maps that have been coming out, notable maps, and then just some other discussion topics about those things. And then at the end, we will have a live Q&A with our special guests and just generally with the people that are here on the podcast. So if at any point during the podcast or at the end you have a question, go ahead and throw it in the chat and we will get around to it or answer it on the fly. But without further ado, wanted to thank my co-hosts who are here with me from the TMA, Juice and Agraboo, and of course, our special guest. He, for a lot of you, probably needs no introduction, but as always, I'm going to give him one anyways. He's an incredibly accomplished mapper. I think calling him incredibly accomplished could not be more of an understatement, though. He's only been playing the game for a couple of years, but he has quickly established himself as one of the most well-rounded, consistent, talented, and influential mappers within Team 2020, with dozens of Track of the Days, several UCA titles, contributions to many esteemed campaigns and projects. He's the longtime holder of the #1 most awarded mapper on TNX. He's one of the most recognizable figures from TrackMania mapping, ladies and gentlemen, the one and the only Deadfish. Let's give a warm welcome.
Hi guys.
How's it going, man? How you doing today? We're really glad to have you.
I'm good. I'm a bit nervous, but yeah. It's gonna be fun, I hope.
Yeah, of course, man. Well, as you may be well aware, we like to start things off here with just a little bit of a look down memory lane in terms of the maps you've been putting out in Team 2020. So we're going to start things off with one of your earlier maps. We're going to take a look at Exile. Can you tell us about this map?
So, I think this was probably my first map that I put some kind of polish into. It was also my first track of the day. It wasn't a style that I really liked to map, especially in the beginning. Probably because it was relatively easy to map and also easy to play. So grass speed fun. Probably my most map style, I would say still. Mm-hmm. And yeah, basically my first real polished map. Very beginner friendly. Lots of just long grass corners that some people these days might find really boring, but I was really enjoying that at the time.
So it's interesting you say that. You said a couple different things. You said you were enjoying it at the time, but also you didn't really like to map it, but then you ended up mapping a lot of it. So I guess, where were you at the time and where do you stand now in general with grass speed fun type of stuff?
So in my opinion, it's one of the most fun styles to just play. Probably because it's mostly relatively easy, not super complicated inputs required to just have fun. It's probably still my favorite style to play, I would say.
Okay.
How did you feel when you first get to TD? What was it?
I think this would have to be early 2021, probably January or February. I was super excited. I think Riolu was still streaming at the time, and I've been a regular Riolu watcher. He kind of got me into the game, and yeah, just seeing the map being played on stream by so many people, that was my heart was pounding. Basically, I was really excited, and I felt like a little kid.
Yeah, I think that's always like a great story to hear about when people have their first TTD, because it is something I think all of us remember. It's just a big turning point, I guess, for a lot of mappers. It's just great to see, just going from hundreds of people playing your map to tens of thousands in an instant. So yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, so I mean, I think, you know, we're going to talk more about just kind of speed fun and stuff, you know, as we talk about other maps as well. But I do think it's safe to say, you know, this was early in the TM 2020's lifespan, so to speak. Early 2021, I think, was when a bigger wave of people started joining, like Riolu, Virtual were popping up in a lot of people's feeds. More people started joining. And I think this map, while it was one of your early maps, was pretty influential in terms of how people mapped fast grass moving forward, kind of from this point. Do you think this success of this map kind of made you, aside from just enjoying to play it, did it make you want to map more of this type of thing because of that?
Yeah, I would say, of course, like getting a first TTD even like gave me a huge boost in motivation to map, and I think I stuck with the style after this for a couple maps actually. Before trying anything out new, but it wasn't really specific to like, I lost my train of thought actually.
I mean, yeah, I think it definitely makes sense that you did a couple of, and like you said, you did do a couple more maps like this after, but and I mean, I guess it's sticking in that line of thought. You do not only map this type of map, but speaking of other fast grass maps, this is one that's kind of a little bit in the middle of your Team 2020 mapping career. However, definitely a different vibe to this one. What can you tell us about Rorvik?
I can tell you about this that I think Ellipse approached me for this. Because he wanted to make this kind of scenery for a map, and he just thought like grass speed fun would be a really good fit for it, and I think it actually is, because you have these huge open surfaces basically for Ellipse to put all the nice stuff around. It's maybe a bit more complicated than the first map you showed. Has some more transitions, but I think in general it's still more on the easy side of maps.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, like you said, it's a bit more complicated. There's more things going on, but I think it's really accessible. I think it also, even though we could consider the last two maps fast grass speed fun, whatever you want to call it, you know, they're very different in terms of the evolution. There's a lot more, I mean, just besides the obvious, you know, scenery, blender, integration. Like you mentioned, there's a lot more transitions, but also just kind of the use of custom blocks, and also the focus on SDs, I guess. How did you find yourself kind of integrating more and more SDs into your maps? Was that just kind of a natural thing as you got better at the game?
Yeah, or did I think that's basically it. You said it already. Just as you get better playing, having a bit more experience, finding out about mechanics. I don't think I even knew what an SD was when I made the other map. This is like the mechanics come to you when you get better and you learn stuff about the game, and of course you're going to integrate it then into your maps.
Yeah. Well, I know this map was definitely a hit in its own way, you know, just because of just the scenery and the concept and the execution. I know Agraboo himself can talk about, just this map. You could probably say a lot about it as well, but it was very well sought after map. Even before it got TFTD, got a lot of hunting, a lot of attention as a really high quality grass speed fun map, and I think it continued to show that you were still very much at the forefront of this style, as much as you would not want to admit it.
The only, I mean, for people who don't know, I did really good on this track. I think it was my first top 5 ever in a track of the day. I finished second in the cup to down because I kind of went full yek during the last round. But the only other interesting thing about this that I guess people wouldn't necessarily know is if people know Yami and I are pretty close friends and do a lot of, grass hunting and theorizing and stuff together. And this was the first track that we ever did that on. I think Yami ended up either in a tie or 1,000th behind Shadow, but we spent the whole day leading up to the next cup in voice with me basically theorizing new lines and then Yami actually being fast with them.
Yeah, this track, so even for me, like, stays one of the best TOTD performance so far. I was I think in top 10 in the main cup and then second in the cup of the night. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I never been that high, so it's I love this track.
Yeah, I think it's really cool also, you mentioned Agraboo, Yami, Shadow Crancer, finding new lines, pushing things, and we're talking about a really high level fast grass play here. When a lot of people approach this map and they're just like, yeah, I'm just driving straight, I'm holding gas, I'm going fast, so I think that just kind of speaks to how accessible these maps are, but still incredibly huntable, and that's not an easy balance to hold, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later, but just really good demonstration of that as well. And then for our last map, I wanted to point out here, and this is another one that Agraboo, I'm sure, will be able to talk a little bit about. What can you tell us, Deadfish, about Asimov?
So this was obviously made for the TMA campaign Volume 2. I think this was my first real full-speed map where we actually tried to make this playable for full-speed players, I guess. As you know, it's not really easy to calculate with all these SDs and with how good and how experienced the good full-speed players usually are. I think Agraboo did a lot of heavy lifting on this map, actually. Basically, I made parts that I felt were nice to drive, and I gave all the other work to Agraboo, and I'm not even sure who calculated the SDs and everything. I think it was a mix of people, probably Yami too.
Yeah,
and of
Yami,
course the scenery on this is amazing. I almost forgot to mention that. Yeah,
from
this is
TrackMania.
Yeah, I think this is one of the best looking maps we had in any of the TMA campaigns, definitely. So huge shoutouts to Jack for that.
Yeah,
and
Jack killed
huge
it.
Huge apologies to everyone for this finish. I just thought it was wicked.
I
think it's a
also
cool
thought
finish.
it was wicked. I am a big fan.
What happened is I wasn't actually going to end the track there. I was like, wow, I found this cool way to get onto the track wall, and then could not find a way off of the track wall. So I was like,
well, I'm not going back now.
yeah. I was literally just like, well, what if you don't go off the track wall? What if the track doesn't continue?
That's funny. I mean, yeah, sometimes that's how things happen. I mean, a lot of times your most interesting ideas happen when you're really not looking for them. So
yeah,
that's really cool. I like that a lot. But yeah, I mean, and as you said, the overall execution of this map in terms of just the interesting route and transitions and everything, but also the aesthetic is just so cool and unique, and I think this will be very memorable for a long time for a lot of people. Really, really solid map. Yeah, great stuff. Asimov TMA2 campaign. Go check it out. But yeah, I mean, so I mean, before we just get into other stuff, I think for a lot of people, you know, coming from other games and whatnot, that have kind of just other experience coming into TM 2020 and stuff, but your pre-TM 2020 history is a bit of a mystery to a lot of people. So just wondering if you could tell us a bit about what you're doing before TM and how you kind of ended up getting into TrackMania and mapping.
Yeah, sure. So I was always big into video games. I think my first video game was probably Pokemon Red in like 1999 or something. Yeah, always had video games as a huge part of my life and as a hobby. Played a lot of competitive Halo 2 and Halo 3, Halo Reach. Switched to Counter-Strike for a bit, played some Overwatch, got into Rocket League, and never really had any real racing games. Never really maybe I played, I guess, a couple of old Need for Speeds when I was really young, but never was that much into it. And yeah, basically got into TM because of the YouTube algorithm deciding you should watch old Riolo videos. I think it was like stream highlights and stuff, and yeah, kind of got hooked into watching them. And that must have been like a couple of months before TM 2020 came out.
Okay.
So yeah, I basically got hooked on TM through watching the Riolo streams that came out with TM 2020 and bought the game. Started playing on the live servers when they were still active. I'm not sure if they're active anymore. I haven't been there. But yeah, started mapping just to get, I don't know, I think it was maps on the servers with at the time. I was friends with one of the admins.
Okay.
So made some like really shitty mini maps. Probably not on TMX, just for the server. Then I think Riolo started doing map reviews on a stream. So of course I wanted to have my maps played by someone that's actually good. Get some feedback. Though I have to say the Riolo map reviews always were. You could always tell he was trying to be really nice to the mappers. So you didn't really get really critical feedback, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into mapping. Didn't really play any other creative video games until then.
I mean, that's really interesting. Without any racing game or like time trials based game or creative game history that you kind of gravitated towards and stuck with mapping. What do you think made you stick with it that way?
To be honest, I just I had didn't really have lots of stuff to do in real life at the time. I kind of quit my studies. I studied music science and politics, and I realized pretty quickly that that's not the thing that I want to do, or I keep doing. Just kind of cold quit, I guess, the studies, and had lots and lots of free time and not really anything to do. So map editor was a great way to just spend like 8 hours a day doing nothing, basically, just keeping yourself occupied.
Nice. Yeah, appreciate that. I mean, when you have nothing to do, yeah, map editor is a good time sink. I could definitely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not the smartest life choice, but fun.
Yeah, I mean, well, you definitely started putting in the hours and in the editor. I think especially coming into Team 2020, you put out a couple maps. You started getting a little bit of like figuring things out, and with Exile, I mean, we talked about Exile earlier, which was kind of like your first breakout hit. But I think you pretty early on kind of started developing this own style of your own in terms of maps that like alt surface and kind of open, fast, kind of the more classic era speed fun that kind of developed over that period of time. And you were kind of etching your own niche with that. And I think, of course, your style has evolved over time, and this has been like one of your biggest staples in terms of your mapping ability, though, is to create maps that have an appeal to all skill levels. And of course, because of this, your history in Track of the Day and having all these Track of the Days is not really a surprise, because when you put your maps into map review, everybody likes them basically because of that. Just thinking about that concept in general of maps that appeal to all skill levels, what do you think, first of all, what maybe draws you towards mapping in that way? And then on the other side of it, do you think you have any tips or secrets for people to make maps that appeal to everybody?
I don't really think anything specific draws me to that style of mapping. I just think it's like kind of the natural way for me to map stuff that I like to drive, which turns out to be usually not that high of a difficulty, but I guess still requiring at least some inputs. So I don't really know how to phrase it better. Yeah, I guess it's really just like my natural way of playing the game. I place the blocks. I think the corner is cool. It usually doesn't end up being super difficult because honestly, I'm not very good at difficult maps. Like everything boom attack, I'm completely lost on. So yeah, I guess that's what keeps it accessible. Also, maybe there's this feedback loop in map review, especially when you're starting out. You see relatively soon, okay, the people don't really like driving complicated stuff, or it's hard to figure that out in 3 minutes. And
especially
if you're
now.
beginning, yeah. And if you're like still a beginner mapper and put your stuff out in map review and you get 5 stars for easy track, and you get maybe 3 stars for a harder track or something that's more complicated, I think there might be some kind of feedback loop that just makes your brain go, okay, yeah, maybe I should stick with that. At least difficulty-wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I think because of that, there's going to be less of an audience overall for harder maps, and that makes sense why, I mean, yourself or just other people in general, like you explained, will gravitate towards that. In terms of making maps, let's say somebody makes a map or they want to execute an idea, but they're like, I want everybody to like this. I don't want it to just be beginner friendly, but I also want it to be huntable. Like, how do I navigate that? What advice would you give them?
Okay, I think the first thing that's important is you're simply not gonna please everybody. Especially the faster people in the community, or the like really experienced players, they get bored quite easily, I think. Like just any of the TOTD streamers, when there's a grass speed fun map, you can see basically the eye rolling and everything. So you shouldn't really try to cater to everyone. I think you just should try to build something that's fun for you. And if don't think you should map with the goal of having it liked by everyone, even though that's kind of somehow how my mapping style turned out. Mm-hmm. I honestly don't think that should be the goal. And otherwise, for accessibility, it's the usual stuff you can do. Just have the route be clear. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
it's just have good scenery. The difficulty, like you just simply can't have super difficult maps being liked by beginner people, and you can't have super beginner friendly maps being liked by the top people. Maybe some, but
yeah, just being reasonable about expectations. I think like it's definitely a big part of that.
Also, maybe map to your own skill level. Mm-hmm. Just if you want to make more complicated maps, get better at the game.
Yeah, be aware of your.
We'll always keep going.
limitations.
Yeah, that's like just keep doing maps, keep doing
Yeah.
them.
I think what I'm hearing is that every single route should be like Chroma's Purgatory or Backstage.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, but yeah.
yeah. That's the world I want to live in. I don't know about you guys. Yeah, I think that's important, and yeah, I mean what you brought up just about just keeping mapping as well. I think that's a good point too. Not to, especially early on in mapping, I think a lot of people try to make a map and then it's not quite what they want, so they go back and they try to remake it, and then they've made 20 versions of the same map, and it's like, hey, you know what? Maybe you're not having fun anymore. Just map something else that gets you excited, and then you'll get better.
Especially at the start, you shouldn't aim for perfection, because you probably, with like limited mapping time or driving time, you will not reach that perfection. So make something that is fun for you, I guess, is the most important part.
Yeah, definitely. Just in terms of having map and time spent in the editor, with a handful of projects, both small and large, you are also well known amongst your peers for your ability to put together maps very quickly. I think that's something that is going to come a little bit with experience. Just having better intuition, having more experience, having more skill in the editor, you're going to be able to put things together more quickly. However, I think a lot of us, myself included, we take forever. We have thousands of hours in the editor, but we take forever to put stuff together. But you have an uncanny ability to not just to put maps together quickly, but that are actually good and fun. So I was just wondering how you usually approach mapping quickly. If that's something that, I know sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's not. If you have any tips about like speed mapping, just in general, your thoughts about it.
Okay. So I think a problem for a lot of mappers that comes back to the perfection thing. If you spend a lot of time on the map, you get tunnel vision. You want to like have it be really, really perfect, and you want to have every corner calculated correctly, and you want to have every transition be super smooth. And that's the thing that I usually try to avoid. Basically, I'm really not into building the same corner over and over again, until it fits. I try to go with gut instinct a bit more. I don't over test things. I think mapping can get really unfun if you keep revising the same thing over and over again. I get bored of that really easily. So yeah, I think it's a bit of a pitfall for some mappers that they. I don't think every map that you put out there needs to be this perfect masterpiece. I often do like 30 seconds tracks that I did in 3 hours, and obviously what also helps is not making your own scenery. So yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to the perfection thing, but yeah, having other people do your scenery, and just, I think Skaza said that I poop out the routes. I'm only able to poop out so many routes because I don't do very much scenery.
Really? I didn't know that. Yeah, I mean, I think yeah, that is a really good tip, I think, and just generally keeping things fun, I think, is always going to be what it comes down to. At the end of the game, this is a game that we're supposed to be having fun in.
For some people, this perfection thing might be the thing that is fun to them. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but I'm just saying, for me, I get quite bored with doing stuff over and over again. So
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, just, I guess.
But on the other hand, I'm also okay with my map not being received super well and having some flaws. So
being able to take the criticism is also going to be a good thing. But yeah, keeping it fun, it's never a bad thing. So that's a really good tip. Speaking of keeping things fun, this is a little out of the ballpark of what we were talking about before, but I know that we needed to touch on this a little bit. You have definitely kind of gained a reputation as somebody who, even though I guess maybe some people would let this get to their head and they would, maybe try to claim they're the best mapper in the world or something, even though you're the number one most awarded mapper, you definitely like to keep it fun, keep it casual, not, take yourself super seriously, kind of just put out what makes you happy, what is fun to you, and what is cool. And one of those things was the Quack campaign. That was kind of, obviously this came from out of TMA in general, and there were a couple people behind it, Juice included and whatnot. But I guess, can you tell us a little bit about how this came to be and just kind of what this meant in terms of the meme and everything around it? Because some people might not be aware.
I'm actually not 100% sure how the whole Quack thingy came together. I know that Badrick had a lot to do with it. I don't know if Badrick is in chat. Badrick is in chat. Badrick could probably tell you a lot more how the general Quack thing came to be. But yeah, it kind of developed over time that we were just spamming the stupid duck everywhere. I think I made a mini and had Badrick made ducks for that or something, or Badrick decided that I should put ducks on there, and over time it just became this huge thing that we put ducks everywhere, and all the emotes in the TMA are ducks. And so I'm a big fan of like playing through like small club campaigns and stuff, or campaigns I found on TMX. Like there's probably 100 examples, and so we kind of decided to, instead of the big TMA campaigns that we release, just to make a smaller one, to make it a bit of more fun and stupid with the memes. This is Quackwatch. This is like. Sadly, I don't think that the PF works anymore on this, but this is like one of the more meme maps we did for the campaign. Well,
Yeah,
still being a fun track.
All the creepy eyes.
Small stuff.
Yeah, so if you play this in game, you have really great music in this.
The sound effects and stuff too. I remember this.
Yeah.
This
You
was
can
a
try
gem.
PF for fun. I wonder if it. Yeah, it probably doesn't here because of movement block stuff.
So this was basically a fun thing to do with the community, and
water
have it
changes.
not be super serious, have it not be super complicated maps. Just basically do what you want, put some quacks on it, and then let's make a hunting competition out of that.
Wait, didn't you request quacks on Twitter or ducks? Send me some pictures with ducks on Twitter. Was it something like that?
I think that came after it.
After?
Wait, Patrick said, I wanted to do scenery yourself on the mini and ask for items to put, and Patrick sent me the duck. Okay. So yeah, I don't know how it escalated to this point. But it's definitely...
I don't know how we got here, but we're here. So, this was a lot of fun. The quack skin that came out of it also
very good
was
skin.
also a very sought after skin. The most prestigious skin in TrackMania, I think, was established. I think you can quote me on that. I think I have a citation source for that. But are we going to see more quack maps in the future?
So, big announcement. We're actually gonna do a second quack campaign. I'm actually gonna post the announcement right now in the TMA club.
Oh wow!
And the difference
there it is.
Difference to the last quack campaign was basically the last quack campaign was just the mappers that hung out in Discord every time and that were kind of in on the joke. But this time, we thought it might be a good idea to have this as a kind of bigger community project. And so, starting right now, we're gonna do open submissions for the Quack Hunt Volume 2. There's a map pack, and you can follow the link in the Discord or see the TMX page right here. I don't know if it shows up on the front page or someone, but if you look for it, you should find it. And yeah, we put some loose map requirements there. So basically, we're gonna do another hunting competition, but this time we're gonna do it. Everyone can submit a map. I'm gonna do somewhat quality control, so I need to think it's fun to play or it's workable. No kaki, because I really
Sorry,
hate
Agabu.
kaki. Sorry,
Sorry.
Agabu, I hate kaki. Kaki is like... Never mind. Okay.
You've lost one mapper.
No, you still have to map for it. I think it's required.
Do you have a deadline, deadfish?
So I don't have the deadline, the deadline right now. But it's gonna be probably in around a month. Maybe a month and a half. It should be finished. So we actually have some time to get a bit of the stuff around it going. Like maybe a new logo. Maybe I can find someone to commission a new Quack skin.
Oh. Well,
So
that's-
we're obviously gonna do.
Because the skin for the second one should be better than skin for the first one.
It
The
should
skin for
be
the first
better
one is
for.
perfect.
How
That's
can you be
true.
better than the best, though?
Yeah.
We're still gonna try though. Maybe it will turn out shit. Let's see.
Well, as you know, this is the most serious campaign in all campaigns and hunting competitions. These maps are going to be the best of the best. So
Exactly. So basically, it's a fun thing for the community to do. Hopefully, we get some nice and funny maps. And obviously, it doesn't have to be a total meme fest. We had lots of
we did.
but we had some just really solid mini maps in there last time, and it's probably gonna be the same thing this time. But if you want to meme around with the ducks, this is the place to go to do it.
Oh wait, that means I need to release actually the set of fixed ducks with fixed shadow.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yes. There were lots of
I'm
shadow
also
bugs
gonna
in the
put
previous.
the
coin
links
coins
to
and quacks.
the duck scenery. I have Bedrick made some macro blocks that I think we can probably release if Bedrick is fine with it. Yeah. So Quack Campaign 2 coming soon.
Woo!
Quack Campaign Jump 2.
Finally.
All right. Well, that's a great announcement. Thank you for sharing that with us here, and I'm glad we were able to have this as a platform for that announcement. We do have one more thing that we wanted to share before we transfer this over into other news and whatnot, and that is a special map that is coming out soon. This map, Badrig also may be able to talk a little bit about, is the special Deadfish birthday map. You heard it here, folks. The DFBD map will be releasing very soon. I don't want to spoil too much. It has lots of fun Easter eggs and enjoyment to be had. It is a classic speed fun grass map with lots of fun, entertaining aspects to it. But it was built, speed mapped by a group of talented folks, ASCII, Badrig, and Ellipse, if I recall that correctly, who did this for Deadfish's birthday. So maybe one of a rare one, a mapper birthday gift. But 22 hours from start to finish, proper speed map here, but nonetheless really fun and just goofy map. So this will be out soon.
Gift.
So keep an eye out for this. Should be dropping on TMX soon.
It's a very nice time you got there, Deadfish.
They made me play it until I got AT, and I think Patrick probably hunted for that time for
9
5
hours
at
I
least.
think you said. I think you said 9.
He says 9, but it's probably maybe double that. And
Okay, calling him
actually-
out. Calling him out.
I actually got some inside information on that, and I can tell you that you're wrong.
Okay.
I spent 3 hours on it.
Okay.
what?
So it's an Agraboo
Yep.
AT?
Yep, they brought in the ringer.
Oh wow! Wait,
Okay,
wait
okay,
a second. Wait a second. We got drama here on the podcast now. So we were told that this was a Badrig AT,
I
but this
was
is
told this was a
actually an
Badrig
Agraboo AT. Wow, deception! What
And
a great birthday gift. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Live reaction. How do you feel, Deadfish?
I was wondering. I was like sitting in voice and saying like, nah, battery can't be that fast. So this is why I probably estimated this a bit high with the 19 hours or whatever I said about Patrick. Makes way more
Wow.
sense. Makes way more sense. Patrick's not that fast.
The Smurf AT. Wow. You really love Deadfish, huh? This is the birthday gift you give him. You're just gaslighting him into thinking he's slower.
I got really into it. And then,
Yeah.
I just
Happy birthday, belated.
thank you, Agablu. Thank you.
Well, on that note, happy birthday, Deadfish. Once again, for anybody interested in playing the map, it is a fun map, all drama and memes considered. So that'll be showing up on the feeds sooner or later. But yeah, thanks again for just talking to us. We do have to jump in because there's lots of things to cover in terms of news and maps and items and stuff. But if there's anything we didn't talk about with Deadfish or just in general that you guys want to know, any other questions you have for Deadfish, you can drop them now or at any other point, and we will have a live Q&A at the end. So yeah. But from there, we are going to jump into some news stuff. And like I said, we do have a lot of things to talk about. It's been over a month since our last episode, and a lot has happened. First of all, new update for TrackMania. As a lot of people know, there is a new official campaign. And this was a pretty... this campaign got a lot better reception than the previous one. Not exactly the highest bar to clear. But overall, interesting campaign. It was also, I believe, the first instance of custom blocks being used in a official TrackMania campaign, which is interesting.
Scandalous.
Well, actually, that's tricky because it was used before, but there's a mistake and you didn't see it. The corner, like the triangle water block, was used in previous campaigns, but you could never see it because it was hidden. But on this one, it's actually
there are. Okay,
No, this one was also a mistake.
this was a mistake.
Pretty sure I saw
But how
somewhere.
would you drive it? You would bump out.
This is they're
well,
driving on this obstacle.
Yeah, but I think they just didn't realize.
That
I
wasn't
don't
one
know.
of the blocks.
I could be wrong. I thought I saw somewhere that they said, "Oops," that they missed it because Kiesla commented on Twitter about it. I guess I could go try and find that.
Oh, okay.
It's probably a thing about this being in a blocks folder and not in
Yeah.
an items folder.
yeah.
Probably.
Same with the previous one, but like on previous one, it didn't affect any like how you drive.
Yeah, it was just an aesthetic thing. Yeah.
Honestly, I also didn't notice it when I played it.
So this is not to say, yeah. So this may be like one of the first instances of a item used in a route, a custom item used in a route. But this is not me making some announcement that Nadeo is going to start making custom blocks in their maps. I don't think they're trying to jump that shark. I think like
Yeah,
Agraboo just
Softy did say on Twitter that wasn't intended.
yeah, so it's not like we're going to expect to see more of this, but it's just a little interesting tidbit about the campaign. I'm not going to talk about it too much more here. We got a lot to cover, but just an interesting thing. However, like I mentioned, there was a full update related to this with lots of different things. We're not going to get into a lot of this here. However, there were a couple interesting things related to mapping, so we thought I'd bring them up in terms of the gamepad editor. So the gamepad editor has been out for a few months now. For all of you console mappers, you do exist. We see you. And there were some fixes and some changes made, which is awesome, especially using the undo and redo. An expert now correctly replaces colored blocks. That was a really big annoying thing, I'm sure, for a lot of people. So hopefully all of y'all gamepad editors are getting a little bit more bug fixes and a little bit more optimization and making things easier to do stuff on console. As well, we have some new blocks in the editor. Not a lot of new blocks, and a lot of these are kind of more just variations of blocks that we have had. Most notably are these other partial or skinny road surfaces. I don't know exactly what you call these. What do they refer to them as?
Narrow.
Narrow. Yeah. So these narrow road variants, as
Wait,
well.
what do you hide there under the black?
Oh, this is I took the screenshot from somebody else. They had posted some other block that wasn't actually new. They just thought it was new. So
Okay.
this is a stolen screenshot.
Yeah, they released the narrow pieces for all road surfaces before me. Like, I was planning to release them in like 2 weeks, and they released like
They beat Juice to something. Wow.
Yeah.
That's news in and of itself. Nadeo does something before Juice did it. Wow. That's pretty surprising. And then aside from that, of course, we've got these another couple platform variants. They're kind of going more into the curves, which I think is great to see. These are really nice to use blocks, these curve variants. And having vanilla versions is really nice just for saving some item space, but also, more consistent textures, all that stuff. So good to see that. Always cool, but nothing incredibly, game breaking or changing. Juice is, I guess they just figured Juice is doing all that, so we don't need any of that. But yeah, we also have the new set of TM World Tour maps is dropping. They're doing a slow release. I think they're releasing like one map every day or every couple of days. I don't know exactly how they're doing this.
One per day.
One per day. There is a fifth map out, I think, that isn't on here. I think, which map is it? Twisted, I think, is already out. Or was it at least announced, but I guess it's not in
Twisted is out.
Yeah, it's just not in this map list here for some reason.
It's a mix of full speed and tight Neo Slide tech.
Yeah, it looks really interesting. It's like snake stuff. Yeah. Cool looking map. There are some cool looking maps. There are also some polarizing stuff in this campaign. I think the first time we've seen alt camera decisions in a competitive map, the Nadeo approved map. So that's very interesting. Definitely a lot of opinions that people are having about that. It'll be interesting to see how the competitive scene reacts to it. Unfortunately, we're not going to dive too much into the competitive stuff here. But worth pointing out, if you're interested in seeing these maps, and like Agraboo mentioned, they are continuing to, as we speak, regularly update this map pack and announce the new maps for this map pack. So keep an eye on those. In other releases, we have, in conjunction with the release of the new campaign, just like we had in spring, there is also a community summer campaign, and this campaign is a banger. Lots of great mappers, Agraboo, other people too. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But I mean, just look down this list. A lot of incredible mappers contributing here. Lots of really cool maps, and there's a whole 25 of them. Mixed styles, weird styles, ice, tech, reactor, engine off, lots of things. NASCAR, all over across the board. Really fun campaign, very huntable. Go check it out. Community Summer.
Is there any mapper who is doing community campaign and official campaign?
Yeah, there are a couple,
I've seen
yeah.
like there's Tona, but like Tona
probably.
is Tona building something for official campaign?
Ellipse is in here as well.
Ellipse is still on.
Okay.
Scarzer was in the last one. I think he builds campaign stuff. Histo, I think, at least has built campaign stuff before.
I see.
Link used to, it isn't anymore. But yeah, there's a bit of crossover.
Cool stuff. Yeah. Community Summer 2023. Go check it out.
Oh,
Lots of cool maps.
Yeah. The other thing is we added signature maps this time, so got some wicked maps that are being released with the when related to the number of champion medals gotten, and there's only one champion medal that's still standing, and once that's beat, a roquette trial will come out.
Wow.
There's also an Ints stunt track. There's a Tom pathfinding, a Link endurance map, and I'm forgetting one. What's the last one?
That's a really cool idea though, with the bounties for the
Yeah.
champion meadows. Just really, really cool. So lots of stuff.
Yeah,
and if you want to be that person to get that.
Oh, Arth. Yeah, it's a backwards map by Arthen.
Oh, okay. Awesome. That's really cool. So not just these maps, but also some other bounties maps coming out. So lots of stuff to look forward to and to explore with this map pack and otherwise. So go ahead and check it out. Moving on, we are seeing the return of the MTC, the monthly track contest on the good old TrackMania exchange. So for July 2023, we're seeing a summer fun theme. So it looks like they're going to be pretty liberal with the theme here. It's just a map that represents summer. So aside from that, no specific restrictions. I think they're looking to get more submissions. I think the last few have had very few submissions, so hoping to have more submissions and more bragging rights, I guess, if you make it through the pack and you win it all. So you can go check it out. MTC July 2023 Summer Fun. In other mapping competition news, Ski is still on his tear of mapping competitions, and this time it's platforming. So he is looking for maps in the light RPG, platforming, tech PG type realm. He got some examples here, type of the vibe he's looking for. And I think, like he pointed out, it's not as common of a style within TM. It's kind of underrated, kind of underrepresented. So he is wanting to see some of these maps. So if you think you got the chops for it, I think in a lot of ways it opens the doors for people who are not as technically skilled in terms of their mapping ability and their calculation ability to kind of jump in and use their creative juices and make something that's not like super calculated but still really fun and interesting. So if you're got some cool platforming ideas, go check out this mapping competition edition 4 by Ski for platforming. I think the deadline is coming up though, July 31st. So yeah, not a whole lot of time left, but nonetheless, there's only 2 submissions so far, so, or at least that are public, so might have a good chance. In terms of, we can't get to all of them, all the different map things that are going on right now, but this is another one we wanted to bring up. The Calculated League 2023, there is a competitive mixed map request. Doesn't have a deadline yet, but they're looking for competitive mixed maps.
It says competitive mixed, but also in the request it says that they're kind of looking for any style. I think when they meant mixed, they just meant anything. Somewhere in there, it says
all competitive styles are welcome.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think by mixed they meant it's not just like, say, like full speed competitive or like
right.
normal mixed competitive.
That's
it's
true,
like
because they are saying that you could make a tech map. So it's not necessarily it has to be a mixed map. Just following certain guidelines based on the style. But yeah. Sounds good. Yeah. So if you're interested, there's also prizes involved. If you're interested, go ahead and check out this. The Calculated League 2023. And in our last bit of news that we wanted to bring up here, Khaki is Khaki. Announced earlier this month that they need more khaki maps. They are not getting a lot of submissions, and they've only accounted for, at least at the time of posting this, they only had accounted for a third of their contenders. They're looking to fill up that full 75 roster. So if you have a cool khaki idea that you feel like hasn't been done yet or hasn't been fully explored, definitely go check it out. Now's your chance.
I'd like to add a slight clarification because it's not amazingly clear from the tweet. When they say they're not low on map submissions, they're low on map quality.
Yes.
They are getting a lot of submissions, but they're not quality enough, and they're being picky. So basically, if they don't have a quality set of 75 maps by the time that their deadline closes, which is the 31st, they're going to delay.
Yes. I think it definitely makes sense because as khaki continues, more and more things become played out, so it becomes harder and harder to kind of make maps that are deserving of being in khaki.
I mean, people hate playing the good khaki maps. Can you imagine them playing the really shit ones?
Yeah, I think it's understandable, but hopefully they're able to meet their deadline. But like I said, if they're still looking for maps, so don't feel dissuaded in terms of course they're looking for quality, but if you feel like you have a really good idea or something that hasn't been fully explored or something interesting, go for it. You know, they're still.
Maybe they're gonna get a map which deadfish will play.
Yes, you'll hear you heard it here first. If you submit your map and it gets accepted, deadfish will play it. Deadfish is your khaki enjoyer to the max. So. Yeah, so great stuff here. Yeah, we got a comment for Try Again. There are good khaki maps. This is news to me too, but Agraboo has the authority on this one, I guess. So he's able to know that thing happens, I guess. So, but yeah, from there, speaking of good maps, we're gonna talk about some of the maps that came out since the last time we talked here on the podcast. Believe it or not, in the last month plus, there have been many maps that have come out. So unfortunately, we're probably not going to be able to get to all of them, or not even all of the best ones. But we put together a couple that we just wanted to give a shout out to. Some ones that haven't gotten track of the day or otherwise been blown up overly huge in that capacity. That definitely deserve a shout out. So first of all, we're going to start up with Enchanted Flake. This map is really cool. I think we talked about him a bit before. We definitely featured one of his maps that did end up becoming track of the day. His most recent track of the day with bobsleigh, I think from about a week ago. But MLAM is definitely kind of establishing himself as the guy in terms of bobsleigh mapping right now. There's not a lot of people doing it in general, of course, but especially not doing it at his level. He really seems to have a knack for it and is really passionate about it. And this is no exception. This is a 5-minute long endurance, high-speed bobsleigh map. Very fast, a lot of mixed, interesting transitions, angles, types of sections. And it's also interesting in that it gives you like a little bit of breathing room sometimes. I think the mapper realized like, hey, 5 minutes of continuous setting up perfect angles is going to drive people insane. So I'm going to give them little bits of breathing room while they hunt. So that's nice of him too. Seems like a lot of thought went into this map. Just a really, really solid map overall here from MLAM. So if you're interested in taking it as a challenge, I honestly suggest people just try it out just to experience it, even if you weren't going to try to get the AT or whatnot. It's just a really fun and interesting map. Only 8 people have the AT currently. Sorry, that's not even true because the AT isn't 5 minutes. I guess only 6 people have the AT currently. So definitely a tough AT if you want a real proving ground for your bobsleigh skills. Shifting gears, there's also a couple really notable RPGs that came out in the last month or so. This one is very recent. This was from BMX and Noobzor Concrete RPG. It's got a really cool trailer. So I forget some of the lore. I think this map has a little bit of lore to it as well.
Well, it is a remake from TM2.
Right. Yeah, only using default stadium textures as well, which is interesting. But a really, really cool, really unique vibe. Ported in. BMX kind of always showing a lot of interesting things from old games and other games with the ports. So just a really, really cool map overall. And yeah, if you're looking for an interesting vibe RPG, maybe this is up your alley. Concrete. Cool map. Like I said, there were a handful of other RPGs coming out, and this is one of them by Courage, Quandary Islands. Another interesting map for a number of reasons. Of course, really unique art style, direction, atmosphere. Also really cool implementation of some new tech that we're seeing that we're going to talk about shortly in moving blocks. So you'll see some really cool effects here, visually and otherwise.
Challenge description. Complete the puzzles and enter the portal area to come back.
It's really interesting
Difficulty
map.
of the puzzles, advanced.
That's beautiful.
Good luck.
yeah, I mean, there's not as much for me to say about this. It's just a really cool looking map, really interesting aspects to it, and all across the board. If you're an RPG player or interested in RPGs at all, you gotta put this on your list.
Should see it show up in some streamers' YouTube channels soon because they did a streamer race on it.
Oh, interesting.
Like Virtual, Spam, Granati, Lars, Scrappy, a couple others. I'm forgetting. Lucker's Turbo.
That's really cool. Just a really awesome map all around. Definitely go check it out. It is called Quandary Islands. Shifting gears a little bit. Actually, I think I'll bring this one up because we're talking about RPGs. Another RPG that came out towards the end of last month was Cascades by TM Tom. This is a pretty long one, about 40 minutes, 150 CPs. Just a really solid, really dense Vanilla Plus style RPG with lots of different surfaces, lots of different elements, kind of more pathfinding, and it's quite huntable, it seems like. The times are pretty close on this map, so I think a lot of people are trying to push it with a lot of more, I guess, traditional elements in terms of TM techniques and styles. So really clean map, really cool looking map, and go check it out. It's called Cascades.
Looks like a great month for RPG players.
Definitely a good month for RPG players, no doubt. Jumping out of the RPG realm, we got this map here from Agraboo and Badrig. A little bit of self-promotion, from a little bit more.
Hey. Just make sure you mute the video, because that song is mega DMCA.
Okay, I will do that, but we can definitely check out the video. We're seeing real classic Badrig scenery in terms of his ability to make these really interesting macro blocks. Macro blocks. We've seen it before in a few different maps that he's worked on, but this is definitely not an exception to that. And coupled with the atmosphere and the general vibe and the route that fits it really well, this is just an overall really fun map, really cool experience. Very huntable, very fun, very light, and
I just want to make sure it's explicitly said. I think there might be like one or two small items, but other than that, everything is vanilla. The flamingos, the reeds, the hotels are all made just from combinations of vanilla items. Badrig did an absolutely amazing job on the scenery here.
Is a wizard with this stuff.
Yes, that's definitely goes without saying. He is definitely at the top of his craft in terms of making vanilla stuff look custom. So pretty remarkable stuff all around. So great job from Badrig, and really cool route from Agraboo making this all happen. And hope to see more of this type of stuff, maybe from this duo. Maybe there'll be a sequel. Go check it out. Flamingopolis, featuring Agraboo. Talked about Enchanted Flake. Oh, and yeah, and we're talking about RPGs. One I didn't bring up already. World of Wampus 6. Not much to say that hasn't already been said about World of Wampus. Classic, difficult, mini trial aspects all hooked together in one really long RPG. I don't know how many checkpoints this one is.
100. I think they're all 100.
They're all 100. Okay. But yeah, a lot of classic feel and look. Just Lantilion doing his thing. World of Wampus 6. So if you're looking for the next challenge, go for it. Another interesting map here coming out from Ski Freak, also with Agraboo. I promise he isn't rigging this. I vetted all of these. This is a really interesting map, kind of an endurance. It was. I think it had a trial tag. I don't think it's really a classic trial style map, but
yeah, no, it's very like it's trial level difficulty
right.
Mixed.
Right, flowy trial difficulty, advanced, transitional, but definitely the type of stuff you'd expect coming from the mind of Ski Freak. lots of transitions, lots of speed, lots of precision, everything you come to expect, essentially. So, really cool map. Definitely not for the faint of heart, but at the very least, worth watching the video of to just be impressed by somebody who can drive it. So definitely go check it out. It is called Dread Return 2 Electric Boogaloo. I like the title. Another map from the last month or so was from Vixa. So this was his attempt at a simple / beginner editor map. We saw a handful of these come out a little while ago with the MTC around it, and I think some other challenges that people just generally did. However, we had yet to see one from Vixa. So Vixa threw his own hat into the ring, so to speak, with the simple editor and made this really cool map. I think it goes without saying that Vixa is good at what he does, so the end result was pretty incredible. Really awesome to see what people are able to put together with very limited tools at their disposal. And this map turned out really nice. Huntable map, really cool scenery, even though it's all placed 100% flat in block mode, simple editor. Looks cool, drives cool. Great stuff from Vixa. It's called Simplicity. Go check it out. Another map here from Intex in Wizzy, Split Sphere. This one is another trickier map, kind of more competitive style, but it's mostly focused on sausage tech. Let me see. I think there's a replay of it in this video. Yeah, here it is. Lots of interesting and cool transitions. Again, this one is a little bit on the harder side, but just really a lot of thought went into this. Really cool scenery, a really solid map with some really cool transitions and lines in general. So
the scenery and route are both split along the diagonal line down the center. The blue side is Intex and the orange side is Wizzy.
Oh wow, I didn't even realize about this. That's even more impressive. I think maps that feel very consistent in their direction and their intent, but are split evenly between multiple people. I mean, we talked about this on the last podcast as well with you and Whiskey, who worked on a map, but it's just like it's really impressive when people are able to work together on something and still have such a cohesive vision and put it all together in such a consistent way. I think it's really impressive. So
yeah. Just for Jervocaquar, no, they literally did the split both route and scenery along the diagonal line that runs through the center. So every time they crossed, they switched who was building. Really cool concept. Crazy to see it executed so well.
Really, really cool map. So go check it out. Split Sphere by Intex and Wizzy. This is another one that came on our radar from earlier this month, Plastic Ride. I don't think there's a video of it, but just a really fun, interesting, super fast plastic map. I know Deadfish was hunting this a little bit earlier. Anything you wanted to say about this one, Deadfish?
I mean, I didn't really hunt it, to be fair. Let's say I had very limited playing time the last couple of weeks. And hung around a bit in map review though, and just thought this was really fun, at least to play in 3 minutes. So yeah, I think probably a really nice map.
Cool stuff. Well, if you want to check it out, it's by Kapu. Aibo is quoted as saying, "Surely the map of all time." I cannot agree more. This is a map for sure. So, but in all seriousness, no, it is a cool map. Lots of fun plastic shenanigans with Reactor. And if you're into that sort of thing, go ahead and check it out. And then lastly, just another map we wanted to give a shout out to. An interesting one from Microvert. Just a cool vibe on this one. It's called Candyland. Definitely kind of TOTD style map, although it hasn't gotten TOTD, at least yet. With a unique atmosphere and type of blender lines built into this very whimsical mixed style route. Just really interesting map. here from Microvert. And if you want to play it and or just like candy, go ahead and check it out.
Definitely a very unique concept for a Blender map. I think I've seen one candy map before, but it didn't look nearly as quality as this. So
yeah, I definitely agree. I think the concept, the visual aspects of this concept are very, very well pulled off. So
Yeah.
great stuff here from Microvert. All right. Well, that is going to bring us to the end of our maps specific section. Again, we couldn't get to all of them. These are just a handful that we picked out that we wanted to talk about. Unfortunately, we can't talk about all the amazing maps that are out there. But yeah, really appreciate all these mappers still putting out great stuff. And like we said, great month for RPGs for sure. However, we do have to get into some other topics here, especially talking about items, because this last month plus was a big period of time for items for a multitude of reasons. First off, we have to talk about this, the TrackMania blocks generator. This is, I think a lot of people are sleeping on this. I know the tweet itself of version 1 only has 44 likes, so I'm not sure how many people have this on their radar, but it goes without saying that this is going to be incredibly revolutionary towards mapping itself. So I think Juice can tell us a little bit more about this. I don't know if you wanted to give us just kind of a high-level overview, because you are the person who brought this into existence.
Yeah, sure. So basically, while I was making all this way too many transition stuff, like from the first one, it was made with the script. So yeah, I mean, it was never polished until the moment I realized that why I don't release a Blender add-on, which can generate pretty much anything to you with like bunch of inputs. And that's it. So I was working on the road surface transitions extension for way too many, and at the same time also try to polish the code and create it in the shape of the Blender add-on. So now you pretty much can generate everything. I mean, of course not everything, but whatever I have in way too many, with even more possibilities and different parameters on what you want to have at the start or at the end of the block, you can generate it in the expert and yeah, get your item. I'm planning to release the second version with bunch of new features. For most important stuff will be more surfaces. So a lot of people requested actually to add narrow platforms, like road tech. I mean, like tech, narrow tech with grass on sides and yeah, this narrow platforms, and as well transitions to wall rides and to basically to wall rides from whatever I have already. So like from half bank to wall ride, from flat to wall ride and stuff like that. So that this type of transition would be nice to have. And I think there was something else, and I forgot what it was. But yeah, basically there is already on GitHub there is like 10 feature requests, and I think I will be able to add them in the version 2. Yep. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can also get stuff which is really hard to get usually in Blender. So apart from every asset I created for way too many transitions, you get it with add-on already, but you also get, I mean, that's some Blender nerdy stuff, but you may be interesting if you are doing Blender. You can get a lattice with 256 subdivision, which you normally can't create in Blender. And I actually I compiled Blender from source code to create such setting for lattice to generate them. Wow. Yeah, with such huge subdivisions. So yeah, you can get them in that add-on assets folder.
Yeah, I think this is an incredibly powerful tool. I mean, you've already brought up the future of this add-on. But just in terms of already what is available with version 1, I think you did a good job of kind of describing it, but I think some people might not fully be able to grasp what is actually possible with this. So I thought I'd throw it up here in Blender so people can see what this is.
I can understand this.
Yeah. So let's, for example, let's say you're mapping. This is just kind of a dummy item I have here. And let's say you have a sausage start and you decide, hey, I want to go down and to the left and I want to use juice grass, the road grass. Ooh, it would be cool if I could go like down and over here to like a sideways deuce, but this block just doesn't exist that goes between these two things. Well, that's why we have this plugin. So we can jump in here and we have this plugin right here. This is what it looks like. Hopefully it's not too small on stream for y'all. We can choose between different shapes, different custom types of items, platform, road. In this case, it's just going to be road. So we'll start from road flat. The middle shape is going to be a turn. And we're going to end up with a road grass that's banking to the left, or banking to the right. It's going to be 2, and we're going to go down. So I think, and I just click generate, and it just did it. It just made that block. I think it doesn't match exactly what I have in game. I think I go one more down.
You have to go down a bit more, I think.
So I just redo it with going down one more, and there we go. The block is there. Well, now it's in the editor. What do we do? Well, oh, whoops. Sorry, I just did the wrong thing there. I'm just going to rename it so I know what it looks like. I can export it. And, oh, sorry. Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm not showing anything else. Okay. Yeah, and then we just update it in game. Everybody can stream is showing. Yep, it is. And there's the block. It's in game. And now all we have to do is place it. And would you look at that? Our vision is now reality. A super smooth block. Okay, well, this is not a good idea for a start. Wow. This gear is really bad, but you get the idea. If this was what you wanted to do, you can do it. So any block you can think of, you can even go pretty crazy with the dimensions. Although, you know, you will have to think a little bit more about the sample, the polygons and stuff as you extend them. You might need to, you know, change the meshes slightly if you get really
you
big
might
with
have like the subdivision is okay for turns of size like 3, 4, 5 blocks, but if you go bigger, then you may have to add a couple of extra cuts to the blocks so it deforms more smooth. Exactly. And as well, like one cool addition I can add that you can generate these shapes from your own custom items, so like from your own custom blocks, because there is the option to select whatever object you have in Blender. It has to follow a couple of requirements, like to be in 32 by 32 meters. You can read it in the add-on. It's like, yeah, but basically once you have your block ready in Blender, you can then generate all possible shapes out of it. So yeah, also pretty interesting stuff. So for example, if you want to make a bar of a specific size, and you generate a base object, and then you use add-on to generate all this like half bank slopes and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of customization even in version 1 that is currently available. Most questions that you might have in terms of, can I do this though? The answer will usually be yes. Very incredibly game-breaking stuff. I think it goes without saying a lot of the implications of this in terms of customization, but I think we could also just see different types of things happening. One of the first ways I thought about this was, one, we do have road ice, first of all. So ice, just another, we already had a big bump with what we could do with ice with some of the previous juice packs that came out, especially the sloped versions and the slope variants going up and down. But now with the ability to do this all with road ice, we're going to see, I think, even more options that are available in lines. Another one that I think is really interesting is for sausage. Being able to do a lot of outward banking sausage in different ways that wasn't previously possible or feasible or realistic will make for a lot of interesting tech lines that just didn't exist before. Because people, when drifting on sausage, will always either just use the inside or maybe the outside of the sausage if it was banked, and they would use like that inside edge that was created. But now you can make really crazy options where you go from, slope down. I mean, I could just show it here. I could go from by slope up and turn into a outside banked like this. This is a bit exaggerated. This type of thing. So you create really interesting line opportunities. I'm traveling up this block and shooting for the inside of this turn for this apex. Like, just really interesting turn ideas that previously weren't even possible. So outside of just general customization, I think people will be able to go wild with this and come up with some really interesting ways to drive vanilla style blocks. So I think that'll be really cool to see. Anything else you wanted to say about this, Juice, before we moved on?
No, I think that's a good overview of that one.
So definitely keep your eye out for this and future editions, but like we mentioned at the time being, this is public. You can go download this. There is I think a README just on the GitHub, right, on what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's pretty easy to install. Even if you have zero Blender experience at all, you don't need any Blender experience. You don't have to do any of the hard work yourself, just in terms of installing the add-on. That's all you really need to do is installing the dependencies, and you'll be off to the races. So go check it out. TrackMania Blocks Generator. In terms of other big things that have been happening recently in the mapping scene, we have to talk about moving blocks. Moving items, I should say. These have been gaining more and more steam, obviously since 2022 or 2021 was when 2021 I think was when Nadeo unveiled their moving items, but they have not been seeing a lot of use just in general. However, through the use of some tools such as Editor++, there has been increased ability to create custom moving items, and that has led to resources that are available, such as this tutorial created by Max K. Shout out Max K on YouTube. He has a couple tutorials in which he shows off how to create custom moving blocks that look like what you're seeing on screen, and these are also more powerful than you'd even be able to expect. Not only are you able to create your own moving items that are fully visible from all angles, there's no tricks, these are full meshes that are even collidable in a lot of instances. There are going to be some bugs in terms of trying to drive on them, but generally speaking, fully functional moving items. But not only do they move in the typical ways that the current default Nadeo blocks move, in terms of spinning, in terms of moving back and forth, but you can even create animations like this where they're spinning and kind of swinging back and forth. You can even create some more complex animations with different intervals and different rates of speed based on which part of the animation it's in, and there's really a lot of what you can do with this. It's very customizable, and I think we're only really starting to see some of what people can do with this. I think it'll be interesting to see where a year from now what people are doing with this type of tech, because I think we're only now really scratching the surface. So yeah, definitely worth checking this out. It's a little bit more involved. There are a little bit more things you have to pay attention to, and it gets a little bit complicated, but like I said, Max K on YouTube, he has a couple tutorials related to this stuff that you can go check out and walk you through the process and get started on making your own custom blocks. We've already seen, like we mentioned before, and like the chat is pointing out, some RPGs that have been using this tech. We've also seen some Royale maps where people have made custom platforms that move just way faster than normal platforms, or way further, and just finding interesting ways to use them. So I think we'll continue to see more and more of this. So definitely worth checking out if you're wanting to stay on the up and up with mapping technology. Aside from that, we have just some general items. We actually talk about items in the item segment, believe it or not. Here is one set from Avitro, and he's actually utilizing some of that moving item technology. So this is falling snow and rain. So each center cube is a huge ring of this weather effect that you're able to place throughout your map, and then you can make it denser by basically just layering a bunch of those areas on top of each other. So if you want to make a blizzard, just throw 50 of these on each part of your route and call it a day. Although that might cause more problems. So I do not recommend that. But yeah, it's a really cool set here from Avitro. Definitely check it out. Falling Snow and Rain. Another set talking about utilizing moving technology here. We've got this one from The Random One, who made this set called Moving Signs, that you can kind of piece together in these interesting ways, layering them on top of other items and whatnot, and create really interesting, really captivating moving elements in your map that show where to go at the same time. Functional and awesome to look at. So another cool set utilizing this tech by The Random One, Moving Signs. Another thing from the last month or so, just wanted to point out, is that Florenzius has also been organizing and uploading and just aggregating more of the assets from the Neo Cooper set. And these items are incredible. They've been used for the world, sorry, not just Neo Cooper, but his World Cup series as well. Just the Assassin's Creed Mirage. A lot of people recall this collab that came out recently between Assassin's Creed and TrackMania. He was the one responsible behind mostly all the assets involved in this project. So lots of really high quality, impressive items in these sets that he is making available to the general public to use. So definitely go check these out. I'm sure there's lots of really cool stuff in here to pull from. Speaking of way too many and the Blender plugin and whatnot, definitely, even if you're not looking to jump into making your own items in Blender for your maps, Juice put out this really cool addition to the way too many cinematic universe, so to speak, for road surface transitions. So this is specifically for transitioning from road to whatever style. So really extremely useful.
Yeah, there's different start and end surfaces. But yeah, be careful. This set, I don't think you can actually download it, the whole set from Item Exchange. Yeah, they promised to fix it, but it's not yet fixed.
Oh, it's
but
a bug
you can
with
download
Item
them one
Exchange?
by one. Yeah. I mean, it's too huge. It's like 1 gig. No, I don't remember that. Yeah, you have the site there, so you can like convert it. But yeah, if it doesn't work for you, then just you can download them one by one.
These
I
right here.
opened. Yeah. I opened all parts of like way too many in my profile. So if you would go to my profile, you can find all like separate pieces of way too many. And also you can just go to the club called way too many and download sets from the club, and it's much easier from the club because they're organized by the material and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty good and pretty useful to just use it in the club.
Yep, well said. Really useful stuff here. I think in particular, especially the bobsleigh transitions are really useful. You have that, right? You do, yeah, right here.
Yeah. That's the first extension with bobsled, and I'm planning to release the whole way too many set for bobsled and for road grass later this month or somewhere in August.
Yeah, super useful. Creates lots of areas where transitioning from road or one surface to another surface was otherwise really annoying or not flowy. Just smooths out a lot of those things. Creates really cool opportunities and just added polish to your map. So definitely worth having these items in your arsenal if you are or if you're not making your own items yourself. So really cool stuff. A couple other sets we just wanted to throw in here to mention. Stupskiesel actually ended up posting a couple more items, part of this wall ride helper set, which creates some bigger and like smooth, different variations, different diagonals, different use of this slope to wall set for these wall ride entry and exit helpers. So these are definitely useful for lots of different fast maps. So if you're interested, go ahead and check it out. Wall ride helper set by Steps. And then last but not least, this was a fun one from Microvert. He dumped this giant set of a bunch of different Legos. So if he is working on his own Lego project. This includes not just different Lego bricks and based by size and type, but he has some dinos. We have some Lego dinosaurs in here. Looks like we have some a Quetzal. I don't even know what that is. And then lamps, swords, trees, vines, just lots of different stuff related to his Lego set, his Lego project. So if you want to make your own Lego map, go check it out. Legos. Who doesn't love Legos?
Especially if you're mapping for TrackMania. How you...
Yeah.
You have to love Lego.
Yeah, I like putting together TrackMania maps, but I hate Legos so much. I've reported this set. There's a button here to report it. I'm going to report. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so that's it in terms of the items. Like I said, there's many item sets that I'm sure we weren't able to get to, but fortunately we only have so much time. So huge shout out to all the item makers. Without them, we would have nothing to work with. We would have to use the vanilla blocks, and I can't even imagine mapping with only vanilla block skin, what that would do to me. So huge shout out to all the item makers out there, and we'll be back next time with all the stuff that has come up since then as well. But from this point, we are going to jump into the Q&A. So this is an open Q&A for Deadfish, myself, or either of our co-hosts. If you have any question that you want to ask to Deadfish specifically, or any of us, go ahead and post that now. Do we have any other questions, I guess, right off the bat, that we had previously?
I don't think so. We had anything.
Okay. All right, cool. We have a very serious question here from Badrig. Karaoke when?
When you finish on my ATs. I think you're stuck on like 36 or something. I don't remember, but yeah, when you finish them all, then karaoke time, live on stream.
So for those who are not familiar, Badrig embarked on a quest to beat every single Deadfish AT in the history of the game. So he's, like he said, he's still not complete with that. So I guess we'll be waiting for that. Drevo asks, do you kill fish? Do you hate fish? Do you wish that fish were dead? And a similar question from Shygon. Deadfish, did you kill the fish, or why is he dead? A lot of people are curious about your name. Where is your name coming from, Deadfish?
Honestly, it's been so long that I don't really remember the origins. Like, I knew it was something with fish for like the last probably 10-15 years. It wasn't always Deadfish. I mean, it's not always Deadfish now, but
it's Ripfish or Backfish, or I feel like I'm missing one too.
No idea. I just thought it sounded snappy. Deadfish, I don't know. Doesn't make sense. I mean, what name is also guinea pig? With juice, like.
I mean, I have an origin story for it at least, though. I mean, it is a dumber name. I will give you that. Oso guinea pig is a dumber name than Deadfish, but yeah.
Not enjoying killing fish.
I'm sorry, you can't just say you have a story and then not say it.
It's not an interesting story. I just had a guinea pig that I named Oso. That, like, when I was a kid.
Wow, you were right.
I told you it wasn't interesting. That's just the story. Yeah. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, but we confirmed here to the press on the record that Deadfish does not enjoy killing fish. That we can say on the record.
Identify with the dead fish. I'm not killing the fish.
You sympathize with their cause.
Yes, okay. Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Do you not eat fish?
I mean, I usually don't enjoy eating fish. This is a weird Q&A, by the way.
This is all very relevant to your mapping experience.
I did see an actual question.
Oh, there is
no,
an actual question? Yes, there is.
There's two.
The latest...
Babsify
Oh,
and
that is a
Trouble.
good question. Yeah, the
Trouble.
latest World Cup mod. Thoughts on the latest World Cup mod? I think it's cool. I'm going to pull it up here really quick.
I think it's cool, but it's got some issues.
What do you identify as the main issues?
Grass. Grass and dirt look almost exactly the same in this mod, which makes sense because on their maps they're not really mixing grass and dirt very much,
Right.
but can be kind of visually confusing.
Yeah, so let me pull it up here. So this is dirt. This is the dirt texture. It's pretty muted. It's almost exactly the same as
The dirt texture is great.
Yeah. And then, yeah, there's the grass, right? I think that was grass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Wait, that was grass?
Yes, this is all grass.
This is grass here. So yeah,
And,
it's definitely
upcoming,
harder to tell.
Even the
skirts.
upcoming road part here, or not the road part. Somewhere there's a grass road turn on here as well that I thought was dirt at first.
Right
but
here. This is road grass. Yeah.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
this is grass into road grass,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Yeah,
looks
I
the
could
same
definitely-
as dirt.
Definitely.
And that
can see
I think
coming
is
through.
I think that's a big miss. I don't understand why they would texture two things to be exactly the same, almost.
I agree.
Yeah, it's grass. I've seen it without the mod loaded. There's no dirt on this map. It's grass and ice.
Interesting.
I think that is a huge miss. I do not understand why they did that. Otherwise, I think it visually looks great. Maybe a touch shiny, but I think it's one of the best mods that they've put out.
I think so too. And just in terms of that aspect, just looking at it visually, I definitely agree with the difference between the textures being a little weird. But visually, just as a whole package, looking at the maps with that mod, I think it looks really cool and really well balanced and nice. So I'm a fan. What else do we got here?
Yeah, there was a question about way too many and
Oh, yeah.
how far it would go and what transition you can expect. Well, in terms of releasing the items and the sets, I would say that so far I'm only planning on releasing road grass way too many and bobsled way too many, like the original sets, and then maybe road magnet at some point. What you can expect will be released as well soon, probably transitions to wall rides, because I got asked several times about them and I also wanted to do them. They're a little bit tricky to keep them smooth, but that's on the list as well. But other than that, probably nothing as a separate releases, but what you can do pretty much everything in Blender. So if you would say, for example, take road tech to road grass and then replace road tech with magnets materials, then you can generate all the items you want for this transition. So probably like more surfaces gonna appear in the add-on, or like not like that. More shapes gonna appear in the add-on, but not more surfaces. I'm only planning on adding surfaces. Either I'm creating a new road type or something like that, because I have a couple of plans. For example, road plastic sounds pretty interesting and fun to do something around it. Or if not, I'll add another road type, or like completely new surface type. Other than that, you can just create an item using the whatever assets I have and then just replace the material and create your own transitions out of it.
I definitely think it would be interesting. I think we are now officially at more than 2 years since Nadeo has added a new surface. So it would be interesting to see what that would look like. But definitely not holding our breath for new surfaces from Nadeo. But I think it would be. I know you're cooking up lots of ideas, so we might see some new stuff from you. I know, so that'd be cool. We got a question.
Yeah, I mean, if you have any ideas for road plastic, you can feel free to DM me with them. Because I have couple, but I'm not sure which one would work better. If you have any, yeah, my DM is open.
We got a question here for Deadfish. Have you made dirt or plastic speedrun maps? Why do you prefer grass over other off-road surfaces?
Definitely made dirt speed fun. I think a lot of them actually. Plastic not so much. Probably like a mix of just getting used to grass and dirt so much and not actually seeing skids on plastic and just not vibing with the feeling, I guess. I mean, yeah.
I have an answer for this.
Okay.
Because I have obviously mapped a lot of grass speed fun as well as some other speed fun types. I think grass works kind of the best for this kind of speed fun because it's the hardest to steer on. Dirt is pretty loose and easy to like do a bunch of steering, so it can get a bit boring at times. Or you have to map tighter turns, which kind of lead to a different kind of feeling. And plastic is, kind of similar, where the car has like so little grip on it that you kind of like end up sliding around, and it's hard to calculate turns where you just hold the steering, because on grass, when you hold steering, you don't turn as tightly as you do on the others, so you can get away with bigger turns while still making people stay active.
Right. Makes sense. I mean, I guess plastic does have some of those similar qualities to it, but it's definitely not as represented fully. Why would you say that is, I guess, with that same perspective? That we don't see as much plastic.
I mean, I don't think plastic really has necessarily the same qualities when applied to speed fun, because say you're going 500 speed and you hold left on plastic, you're going to either like hit a point of oversteering, or you're going to just drop out of 5 really fast. I think it's actually closer to dirt for that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
But with dirt and plastic, although I've never I don't know, I did with Totodile. I did kind of like Gear 5 plastic. I think plastic can be really good for transitional stuff because you can always land smooth in quotes on plastic because it just catches you so well. I think dirt really works well for maps like the Chase series from Traz, and then on the third one, Shadowcrancer, where it's fast but there's like tight turns that you like try to maintain speed through. Just because you have more turning radius. And then with grass, it tends to work better if you really just let the speed get out of control, like something like Rorvik or Artemis that a couple of us here worked on, something like that, where you like really let the speed go and focus on like, these SDs and transitions. I just think they end up more interesting on grass. But
not too out of control, not too fast.
Yeah.
Like we've seen in the recent Track of the Days.
Yeah. Plastic can be very hard to it's very easy to overslide because the skids, the overlap that you need is like always 90% plus. So any amount of oversliding starts to lose you speed very, very fast. So it might not be as satisfying in that low Gear 5.
Also, just not having the skids is just generally people not as big of a fan of that. So that makes sense in terms of underrepresentation on that front. But I mean, it's a lot of good points about the different qualities of the surfaces at different speeds, and ways that people probably don't think about it. So
yeah, Kaguya's smart.
Oh, thank you.
yeah,
I'm a Speed Fun Mapper of the Year for a reason. We forgot to talk about that.
And I know the reason.
Yeah, I mean, do we have any other questions? Anybody in the chat have any questions for Deadfish or otherwise? I did have one other question in terms of just, and this could be for Deadfish, but also for the rest of the group here, because I think most of us have been mapping for a while now and mostly consistently. How do you avoid getting burned out on mapping?
Take breaks.
Take huge breaks like I did for the last months or like 1.5 months. I didn't open TrackMania almost. Like probably open it 2 times to check items which I created, and that's it. I didn't do anything. And now I feel like some motivation to open it, and I got a couple of ideas which I would like to try. So yeah, take breaks.
Make yourself remember why you actually enjoyed it by just not doing it.
Yep.
That's a good point. Do you have anybody else have thoughts?
I have a serious answer and a less serious answer.
Mm-hmm.
The less serious answer is that once a year for about a month straight, there's this event called Khaki Reloaded.
Oh, wow.
And
is there?
I tend not to map very much during it because I spend a lot of time playing. On the actual serious side, I think people who know me know I'm a kind of workaholic as far as mapping. I kind of don't ever stop. One way that I keep myself from burning out a lot is I alternate large and small projects. So right now I'm in the phase of doing a lot of smaller stuff. You know, either like maps for competitions or, you know, for competitions like competitive mixed mapping, or for mapping competitions, or just in general like collabing with people and kind of like splitting up that kind of work. So dividing focus. But in May, I almost exclusively worked on Whisper of the Heart, which was a really big project. And so I think that kind of like back and forth flow between spending a lot of time on one thing versus spending a lot of time on a few different things keeps me, you know, stops it from feeling so monotonous.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I think balancing what you're working on is always going to be really important, especially with kind of going back to what Deadfish was talking about and what we just generally discussed earlier in terms of the game is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be work, you know? So understanding like, okay, I've got these projects I got to work on, or like I want to work on, and then I've got these things that I'm working with other people on that I have this certain sense of obligation to work on, but I also want to have fun, you know? So just being cognizant of that and not taking on more than you can, not biting off more than you can chew in that sense, not saying yes to working on 40 different projects at once, but also not splitting your focus enough in terms of giving yourself an opportunity to breathe and have interest in other aspects of the game or other games in general. I think that's always going to be important. So
I'm really bad at that.
I think all of us could get better at that. I think all of us are guilty at some point or other of mismanaging that and subjecting ourselves to resenting whatever we're working on because of that very same reason. So, but you know, we live and we learn in that sense. So, yeah. Any other questions from the chat before we wrap this one up? Anybody have any other thoughts? Any other animal rights conversations? I don't think we do though. So yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. We have one more serious question, I guess. Are any of you building khaki maps? I know Agraboo might be cooking something.
I by something I have already submitted 3, and I'm working on 2 more. I've actually been trying to validate one this entire podcast.
Multitasker right here, believe it or not. Doing the important work on the side. I mean, sorry, the less important work on the side in terms of this podcast. The important work is validating his map.
It pays to be a co-host.
Good focus. Yes, exactly. We got one more question here from Shygon. I can't get myself to finish the maps I'm making. Any tips about that? It's a very good question. I'll throw this one to the field. Any thoughts?
Okay. So again, I think I said it earlier that like I think a lot of people just get stuck in that tunnel of like needing everything to be perfect. And I don't know, for me it's okay when not everything is perfect. Just if you get stuck, just sometimes maybe even if it's suboptimal, go with what you have and keep on building or finish the map and go on to the next one. It's maybe gonna flow better for you.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think also focusing on when and where you get stuck is important, because something I know for myself personally, believe it or not, there are some of us that don't make scenery ourselves, like, ever. And I realized, like, I thought I could do my own scenery. I'll get better at it. I'll learn. I'll do it. But I would do the same thing. I would get pretty far in a project. I would start on scenery, and then I just never would come back to it because I just found myself so demotivated to work on scenery when I'd much rather be putting together some new route that interested me. So finding which parts of the process are forcing you to stop or making you less likely to finish, and accommodating those in different ways. I mean, the most obvious in my example would be just, collaborating with other people, finding people to help you with those sorts of things.
Sorry, just a quick update on a question that was asked to me previously. I have now validated 4 khaki maps.
Hey.
Just got this one.
Wow, look, more announcements happening.
More khaki maps to play. Woo!
GG's Agraboo.
Yeah. I also have an answer for this question, but sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh yeah, no, go ahead.
For finishing a project, I said before that Whisper was a really big one. I know some people can get very stuck on scenery and trying to like push it and continue to push things more and more. At a certain point where I feel satisfied, I move on to like, I haven't written this down into an official checklist. I might actually make a checklist of like track finishing things for people, but I'm like, okay, so instead of like trying to like, oh, is everything perfect, this nebula's perfect, I get very specific. I'm like, are the respawns good? Are the media tracker elements there and good? Is the AT done? Is GPS done? I make videos. Is the video done? I kind of like break it down into all of the component parts, and once all of those component parts are done, or at least satisfactorily done, where it's like, yeah, you could make minor improvements or whatever, but like I feel like instead of just thinking, oh, how do I finish this whole thing, it's like, how do I finish these 10 different tasks that are the finishing details of a track?
Yep.
Kind of works a lot better.
Mm-hmm. And just like anything in life, like the more you compartmentalize it, the more, both in terms of accomplishing the problem, feasible it is to actually finish it, but also just from a psychological standpoint, like Agra was kind of, talking about, it feels like you're making more progress, and that makes you feel more motivated. If you're not having all those smaller goals, maybe you feel like you didn't get anything done that day when you actually did. So even if it's just a small thing, if you have something that you can check off your list when you're in the editor, you feel like, all right, I made progress. Like, I'll come back to this and make more progress. So yeah, that's a really good point from Agraboo. Definitely agree with that. Yeah. Anybody else have anything to say about that? Finishing maps, having good focus? No? All right. Well, I mean, I think that's a good place for us to wrap this one up. Like we said before, we're going to be back probably in 3 weeks. Probably not going to be able to do in 2 weeks as I'm going to be out of town. So we're not going to be able to run this one then. But we really appreciate everybody that came around and stuck around to the end. If you're still here and you're not following, go ahead and drop us a follow here. We're doing this every once in a while, the Author Time Podcast, and we'd love to have you back. If you're listening to or watching on YouTube, after this is posted on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the TMA YouTube channel. We post this every time we record it. And we got all sorts of other stuff coming down the pipeline. And of course, if you are not part of the TrackMania Mappers Assembly community on Discord, go join that. We got a lot of stuff going on great over there. Even if you just want to go into TOTD discussion and speak your mind, we'd love to have you. So thank you so much, everybody. It's been great having everybody here. Thank you so much to our special guest, Deadfish, for sitting down with us, telling us about your experience. And, of course, my wonderful co-host, Juice and Agraboo. Always great to have you here. But, yeah, we're going to call it here. Thank you so much, everybody. And
Thanks for having
see
me.
y'all next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.